party's position on proportional representation?
It gains a majority government. I don't know if we would actually consult or set up the panels or do studies. I think we would just do it because we're 100% in favor of proportional representation, and we'd be ready to have a disagree on something.
Okay, door mail delivery.
Again, it's a very clear stance. We would restore door-to-door delivery. I'm not entirely certain that it would be absolutely everywhere, but I think, as I understand the policy, the intent is to restore it fully. Yeah.
Okay, Judy? This has been a 78-day election campaign. Would you, in the future, work to keep it to the regular length of about 40 days?
Yeah, I have to agree. It's very unfair to taxpayers, and it's also unfair in terms of using the ruling party's advantage that they had. So, but the upside is that in the last election, I ran in 2011, as most of you know, there were only 2 opportunities for candidates meetings, all candidates meetings, and in this one there are 7.
Wow.
So, you know, there's a good side to everything.
Thank you.
Very informative piece, and so of course I would try to emulate that as I would try to emulate Elizabeth May in every other way as well. Seriously, that she's probably the main reason I chose the Green Party, but the other reason, I'll bring you back to this, was again that guarantee of being able to have a free vote in the House of Commons. And without that free vote, it actually is the party leader that you're voting for, because the party leader tells everybody how to vote. So they're the ones making the decisions. And so in essence, until we get rid of the party whips, we are voting for the party leader. We're not really voting for candidates. I'm sorry, I had something else to say. I'm trying to think of what it was, but it is oh, I know, it was about the media and how the media seems to just focus on the party leaders, and not just, the only time you see a candidate in the national news is when there's some scandal, right? That somebody pees in a cup, and so they're all over the news, but otherwise you don't see the candidates interviewed, you only see the party leaders. And the other interesting thing about it is that you mostly see other people talking about the party leaders. The party leaders might get a 10-second clip, and then there's 20 minutes of pundits talking about it. And so it's all around their personalities. It's all around who's going to win the horse race. And I think that a lot of the blame goes to the media for people, for Canadians thinking that it's all about the party leaders. Thank you.
Judy, please explain your position with regard to CBC funding.
We've seen CBC, of course, dramatically cut back in funding, and as I mentioned, their board has been taken over by conservative influences, and the quality of programming it's been so sad to watch the bias coming through and the deterioration of the quality of programming. They just don't have the staff to send out the reporters and do the investigative reporting they used to. We would give a lot more money to the CBC, even though the CBC are not treating us very well. I got into this in the last election, but I forget the exact amount, but we would increase CBC funding significantly to a point where they can start to resemble what they used to be. Thank you.
I thought this question actually kind of summed up much of the meeting very well. Will the 3 of you get together and pick only one to run in this election? I'm not necessarily going to ask them for an answer. We'll let them think about that one. Instead, I'm going to give them each 1 minute to summarize, and I want to just thank everyone for the questions, and I especially want to thank our candidates for their thoroughness in preparing answers to those detailed and very important questions.
Over the past few years, I've not felt as Canadian as I used to. to. I felt more like a global citizen, wondering, feeling like a stranger in this country. I have to admit to that. I would like to feel like I belong here, but I'm always so shocked and dismayed at the number of people who think so radically different from what I always thought Canadian values were. And I'd like to think into the future because I tend to be an optimist, and I'm hoping that things will change. And I wonder what the future of politics will look like. Will it continue to look like our politicians wasting their time in the House of Parliament instead of cooperating like we've been doing today, and continuing to campaign between elections? And I hope it doesn't. I hope, in fact, that we see a whole new model. And that's one of the things that I would like to explore. Some of you know I'm running what I'm calling a counterpoint campaign, trying to do things differently, trying to see what will happen if a campaign is run very, very differently from a typical campaign. Last time I ran a conventional campaign, spent a lot of money, did the usual things, and this time I'm trying to see if there's a different way to do politics. One of those things, just a part of that counterpoint campaign, is no signs. We actually have signs left over from the last election, but I'm asking people not to put up signs for a number of different reasons. One is that signs are a way for money to control votes. The more signs, the bigger signs, it determines how people vote, and I think that's the fundamental reason, is that we have to get money out of politics as much as possible. Private money is my talking about. But then, of course, is that it wastes a lot of plastic and wood and metal, and it's an eyesore, and so on and so on. So that's just one element of the campaign, and what I would like to see is us return to a place where our politicians start acting with civility and cooperation and respect for the fundamentals of democracy. Thank you.
Thank you